fear perfection, both hands are treacherous. I'm ambidextrous. You can't outgrind or outshine me with a fancy necklace. My aura can't be messed with. I'm cocking bullies, dropping bullies, rocking hoodies, popping woolies, ride on the bench and reckless. Got trust funds for my loved ones. My family precious. My cards barking more than Charles Bronson. This can't be death wish. Death wish.
Hey, peace, family. How's everybody doing? I hope you all are having a wonderful evening so far. My name is Keisha. I am the owner of A Way of Life. I am a career and business coach using astrology. And as you can see, I got my laptop. Okay, no. I had a moment. I had to do it. I was out of commission with my laptop since like October or November, which has been horrible. I don't know why Spirit does these things to me, but I'm taking it one day at a time. Okay. But I'm happy to have the laptop back. I don't know if I'm going to go back to doing lives like this, but I did want to check it out to see how it works, if I really care to be bothered. We'll see. Yeah, man. We're going to talk about the new Neptune and Jupiter conjunction in Pisces. So I did talk about this quite extensively for the 2022 yearly videos. I broke it down. I went in deep. And so now we're just going to have a little discussion with everything that's going on, what more possible could come up. I think pretty much everything I've been on point. But still, it's interesting to go back and kind of review some of the things that have come up. But for the sake of not having been on here in a while, family, I'd really like to remind you of our services that we have available on Patreon, which you can click the link right up above. Is it over here? I think it's over here. I don't know. It's right on top there on my YouTube page. To get straight to Patreon, I have a class on there. I also have the eclipses on there, and then I have the weekly horoscopes that you can get that's dedicated specifically to you and your horoscope. We're also on Teachable now, but that one is strictly about your life path, where you get to kind of plan out your career path and whatever it is you'd like to do. Now, that one you can do strictly on your own. It does come with coaching, where you get to work with me specifically at your convenience when we are both available. I'll help you walk through anything that wasn't clear on there, but everything is literally a step-by-step process to help you plan out your career path. And then I've been doing the word search puzzles, just because I thought it would be fun for people out there who might like to do those types of things. Getting my laptop back and going through all my stuff, I'm just thinking like, wow, I had so many plans. I had plans, to, work on a few different projects. And I'm going to start back up with a lot of them, check in, see how everything's going, start advertising and promoting for those things a little bit more. Yeah, man, let me know if you're interested. You can send me an email at info@awayoflife.net. And if you like the content that we share on here and you find it helpful, please do become a subscriber. Like, share, and hit the notifications bell so that you can be notified every time we go live. Without further ado, family, I'm going to jump right on in to these here notes. Y'all already know. Without them, I'm lost. So Neptune will conjunct Jupiter and Pisces on April 12th. And so typically Pisces season, so the month of March is like considered the luckiest month of the year. But on April 12th, it'll be the luckiest day of the year. And you'll feel this for the entire month, which it just so happens to be for the duration of eclipse season, which I was like, yummy. That's going to be a beautiful combination. Water and earth signs will feel this the most, although every sign is going to feel this on some level. And so a conjunction is an aspect that is a convergence of information coming in all at once. So there may be like a bunch of different storylines being played out, and you'll have to work through them all. I've talked about Pisces being like the place where you can reach other dimensions, and so many of my other different videos, which, by the way, family, Doctor Strange will be coming out on May 6th or 7th, which is during all of this lovely yumminess energy. Coinky dink? I think not. Not to mention that Neptune in Pisces does rule Hollywood. And since Jupiter is the ancient ruler of Pisces, definitely can see that being a part of it as well. So, right in alignment with everything. I really like seeing stuff like this. But as I was writing this, it really made me think about the Will Smith debacle from a metaphysical point of view, though. I mean, obviously, everybody having so many different opinions of, what and how and why he did what he did was very interesting to watch. It says a lot about the state of America and where we're at, conscious wise. So I found that very, very interesting, and scary at the same time. But two aspects that I seen come up the most, and that was from slavery, from a metaphysical point of view, and the jokes, comedy in general. So I say Will Smith was acting out as, because when we're looking at astrology, what we're really looking at is a time that has been captured in space, right? And it remembers, and that's your karma, right? And so every time that area of space is being activated again, it's a karmic cycle being revisited, closed. You can look at it from so many different ways, but because of what we're experiencing here now and how I think we had the Great Conjunction and so many other different faceted aspects coming through that state, a time for change, even though we might not see it now, especially with some of the stuff people were saying. I'm sure, like, nobody cares about what I'm about to say. And I think that's a little rude, but I was just really blown away. Like, I have so much great respect for what's the white dude's name? He's a comedian too, kind of, sort of. Jim Carrey, where he had this like woke moment a long time ago. I don't know if anybody remembers that, when Jim Carrey kind of fucking lost his mind, and then afterwards he came out speaking mad facts about, being woke and whatever. And to hear his response, I was just like, you have got to be kidding me. Like, really? You too, Jim? Come on. But whatever, man. It is what it is. But I seen this as slavery, right? Because I talked about Capricorn back in 2020. Capricorn rules Black people. Saturn rules slavery, the slavery that we went through. And so I really seen that, because the Great Conjunction kind of happened all around the same time, that was an ending of our time as slaves, right? And so many other things happened. I think we got the Juneteenth recognition that year. And I think I even had mentioned the fact that we got all that money could have been considered as reparations. Again, it just depends on how open-minded you choose to be about a lot of these things. And that's all metaphysics is, right? I'm using this big word, not trying to sound intelligent, but to separate my opinion from, everything else. That's why I really put it out there, is because that's what this really is. Metaphysics is nothing other than decoding this fake reality, right? When you start making opinions about a reality that we all know isn't real, that's worrisome, especially if you believe it like it's real. I mean, it's one thing to live in this reality because you literally have to go through it to understand things. But when you start stating facts and opinions like you really believe this 3D world is real, that's why Pisces rules mental health too. I'm just saying, it's a mental wellness thing. But you know, I feel like it was just another marker in time where he just got sick and tired and of being sick and tired, right? And sitting back and being the butt of everybody's jokes, right? Literally and figuratively. But if you go back into time, you have to remember that men, right? When I talked about Aries back in 2020, Mars being in Aries, which was his home sign, I said this was the rise of masculine energy. Remember that? I feel like this was one of those markers showing up as that, where men back in slavery had to sit back and watch even other men and women get beat, you know, demasculating them and not allowing them to stand up for their significant others, right? Which is sad, right? But I feel like Will Smith got up and he stood up and marked that time in the sky and said, no, we're not going to take it anymore. We're tired, right? And I think the other aspect of it is the comedy piece. Now, remember, Gemini was in the North Node last year before it moved into Taurus for 18 months, right? And Gemini rules comedy. And I feel like if you go back into time and you really understand what it really means to be a comedian, it wasn't the fat jokes, the mama jokes. That's what it turned into, like what America does so fucking well every time is, you know, they kind of make a mockery of our art, right? And so before it turned into that, if you go back to history and go down the line, you know, comedian is a real art. You know, you think, you use your words. I mean, we're talking about Gemini here. This is communication, you know, being strategic and intelligent about putting something together to make light of a situation that can be considered very heavy at times and things of that nature. And it wasn't until later, like our era, where comedy turned into the mama jokes, the fat jokes, you know, the black jokes, the ashy jokes, which is not real comedy. And Chris Rock kind of represents that archetype, right? It's just his era. He grew up with the fat jokes and the mama jokes and literally has an entire career built off of that. And it's respected in the comedy world because we all as people understand where that comes from, right? But at the same time, you know, somebody who's a real comedian who sits down and puts real work into their art can see that as kind of a knock off the block, you know, somebody taking the short road to get to a high place, you know. And so you can also see this as a play of power, right? As to why Will Smith did what he did. He's like, you're not at my level. You don't get to make jokes about my motherfucking life. Excuse my language, but this is how I felt. Y'all know he's a Gemini and a Libra. I'm a Libra and a Gemini. I would have smacked the fuck out of him too. I'm just saying, respect goes a long way. That was kind of cutting it close. Typically, people make jokes like that when they know shit didn't happen years ago. She literally just had that displayed all over social media publicly. It was disrespectful. And a little too soon, you know. And the thing that I thought that was so it was so real to me in that moment when he said it was a G.I. Jane joke. Like he said that shit like he really thought it was okay to say that joke. And I just honestly, I'm really glad personally that Will Smith stood up for her in that moment, because like I said, now it just marked another, thing in time saying we're not going to take this stuff anymore because that shit is not cool, like at all. And so I'm gonna jump off my soapbox on that. But I feel like on the world stage, that marked a time of more endings to come. Whether we see it that way or not, whatever. The last time we had this transit was 12 years ago. Um, and the last time we had this transit in Pisces was in 1846. And there was a lot of nationalism, idealism, and slavery was abolished. And even if you think about slavery being abolished from that point, I feel like it's just another marker in time. Even the idealism and the nationalism. I mean, look at what the heck's going on in Ukraine. But I'm going to stay far away from that topic. But I still feel like in some way, shape, or form, history is just repeating itself. It's like it was written in so many ways. And it's like, can we get beyond what was written? And this is where, you get into the deep depths of Pisces energy to the spiritual piece, where you begin to, again, know the difference between having an opinion in this 3D world and having an opinion knowing that this world is not real. It's not real. So there's no sense of getting caught up in anything that happens here, but to see it from a metaphysical lens, right? And we are consistently seeing patterns in our lives. I feel like we are all having these convergences of information coming in from other dimensions, even just, other transits. And I mean, you can look at this so many different ways. Honestly, there are constantly things going on that, help us in this world, have lived this experience. And I mean, you can have a home situation, a work situation, a parent situation, you got in-laws, you got a marriage, you got so many other different facets of your life. That is a dimensional thing happening on a consistent basis where you're learning and bringing in information constantly, right? And it's like we're constantly seeing those patterns, but unfortunately, we don't have the right intentions. We're not in the right heart space, or the right state of mind, right? Because this world has done a really good job of making us believe that we are actually really having this experience. And you can see it happening where people are unable to hold up their end of the deal in any situation because their foundations are unstable. They're drowning in this reality, and they're willing to pull people down with them because, and I don't say that from a negative perspective. I hope when people listen to this that you're really, again, we're being intelligent thinkers and separating ourselves from what's really happening and where we're trying to evolve to as humanity, right? We are in the age of Aquarius. Aquarius is 5D. That means 3D is no longer going to exist. And even just in that short note, I think we're going to see a lot more deaths because people aren't vibrating high enough on a level to be able to sustain themselves to go through this. They're going to have to be recycled and come back and be reborn again in this new 5D energy, right? But again, I just hope that when people hear that, they don't see that as a negative a negative statement, right? Because we're all going through this, right? And don't let me sit up here like I'm somebody that I'm not. There are times when I get caught up in this 3D world as well. There are areas in my life that I'm working on as well, right? But we have to go through it, right? Like there are things that I've been through in my life where I'm like, oh, fuck, and I can catch myself when I start to see those patterns, and I'm like, got me again, god damn it. Let me get up and get the fuck out of here. I have a meme with Alice in Wonderland, because this is my Alice in Wonderland placement, Pisces, right? Anything Pisces is my Alice in Wonderland placement. And it's like, Alice in Wonderland had to go away down to her reality to escape the madness of this world because it's so fake, right? Right? To go someplace where you can get away. If that is not a Pisces goddamn statement, literally Pisces rules escapism, right? Or doing things behind the scenes, right? And escapism on a high vibration can be spirituality, right? So there's no good or bad in escapism. It can also be your addictions, right? The things that we do to avoid this fucking place. This is hell, right? But the addictions obviously are seen as a lower vibration because you're not conscious, and it's a tricky place to be when you're trying to quote unquote escape something. Really, you're probably pushing yourself more into it, right? Or if you're avoiding it, you're not evolving, which means you're most likely to repeat it. And so the high vibration of that is Alice in Wonderland, to go to your imagination, to let go, to give unto yourself to spirituality and let the divine work through you, right? I posted something on my IG page a few days ago about being in your mission, your purpose. Like, what are you meant to do here, right? And focus on that when you find yourself in these places where you're like, damn, I got dragged into that goddamn family drama again. That shit my mama be doing. She got me when you don't want to be there, but that's your family and you love them. And sometimes it's really hard to pull away from those things, right? And so you have to plant deep roots and knowing and recognizing those signs. You cannot ignore the signs. And this energy, because it's happening right around eclipse season, I'm telling you, it's going to get real intense and heightened, where you're either going to feel like this, whatever's happening in your life was fated, and you're going to rise up above. That's your initiation where your blessings come in. Or you're going to feel like literally like you're losing your fucking mind, right? And so you have to know how to find peace within yourself and pull away when things start to get out of control. This is my AA placement. And I've talked about this before in other videos where, every night when I worked at this addiction facility, the people from AA would come in and they'd tell their stories. But they always had these cues as to when to get out of a difficult situation because they knew they were being triggered, right? And so they would have these key phrases where if something come up that was a high trigger for them and they was like, damn, I want to go drink, I want to go drink, I want to go drink. It's like, I gotta get the fuck up out of here because that's my cue. And so do what you are by getting secure and making it a way of being, right? That's why I named a way of life, literally, because I can't make this shit up. Like, I'm literally on the journey, family. I promise you. And you'll see the benefits come of this when you do that, not just in this time, always and forever. Your ancestors, your guides, whatever, they're going to come through for you, right? And that's the beautiful part about having this during Aries season, because your warriors come through. It's not just any ancestors. These are the ones that come and fight your battles for you. Like, nah, you can't get in here right now. Once you give that cue, like, I gotta go, All right, so your ancestors is coming in already blocking them, like, you can't get through here. She said she gotta go. So deuces, But Jupiter rules everything big: expansion, luck, growth, travel, education, languages, publishing, writing, blogging, speaking, and excess. Be careful for doing things in excess, especially with Venus and Pisces. Wow. Venus and Pisces, I feel like it's going to come through and dissolve all negativity. That is a big statement. Don't hold me to that, because we got a lot of people in here who are really struggling, and so it might be hard to see if you're heavily involved in negativity and not in your highest vibration. But it's so easy to overindulge at this time, family. I promise you. You're going to want to go to ecstasy. Trust me. You're going to want to do stuff that makes you feel happy in Piscean type ways, right? And so we could be traveling now, especially by water. We might even see some water things opening up because Neptune rules water. And so this could be emotions coming through, spirituality, retreats, anything aquatic, right? Like Sea World, cruise lines, um, um, yeah. It could be those small, like little boat thingies that you do right on the river, especially out here in Boston. I don't know where other people are, but sailboats, time, stuff, those types of things will start to open up now. This in mental health, addictions, dreams. You could be having dreams, visions, deja vu, all kinds of spiritual messages coming through to you at this time. Pay attention, family. Do not ignore those things. Those are your guides showing you which way to go. Your intuition might be on fleek, very heightened, especially again once we get to eclipse season. That intensity of intuitiveness is going to fire up, especially wherever you have water placements in your chart, right? Again, escapism, uncertainty, confusion, therapy as art as a therapeutic process, any kind of dance, photography, any spiritual divination, honestly, can be covered here. Um, I said that, right? Teaching. Yep, I said all those things. Okay. This is also delusions, illusions, hidden things, privacy, generosity, and goodwill. Okay. Compassion. I really feel like this is going to be way yummy more than anything else. This can be floods, toxicity in water, pollution. You can want to save the earth, or they come up with like different things about that. This could definitely be about weather, climate. That should be like the top conversation. But of course, we're going to talk about the war and the fucking Will Smith shit. Anything irrelevant to that. This could also be things about the borders, culture, or the immigration coming through, more stuff on that. I know they've already been talking about it, but we can actually see more coming out at this time. An expansion of emotions, emotional wellness, of others and yourself. Again, the diversity culture and things around the border. I'm really intrigued and interested in seeing what comes out around travel. I don't know if anybody's got their new ID card. I finally got mine. This is so new and interesting. I think It's even going to evolve more, especially because we're in Aries season. And Aries season is the engineer, especially once Aries moves into Jupiter, is going to pick up all of this. And I think it's going to be really dope in a sense, because that's when things will start to be made in excess. Like how when Gemini was in the North Node, we had a whole bunch of different apps coming out and platforms and all those different things there. And now we're just like, can we just draw it in, please? We need like one good app. Which, by the way, has not happened yet. But I do think that Aries is going to expand engineering when it comes to a lot of these new things to do around these kind of Piscean themes, which is really, really good. You can find yourself being very pessimistic, having to find balance between hope and reality. I talked about that. Especially the reality of your dreams, right? Because Pisces is your dreams, your sleep dreams, but it's also your dreams, like the things that you dream of doing, that you're longing, what you desire, right? Because it's a higher octave of Venus. And so typically this is going to have something to do with, your purpose in life, right? I think it's going to be very, very, very important that people understand that we are going through a recession, a time of endings on a pretty serious scale, right? And so here's a few different things that I can see coming up when it comes to your careers with this placement, especially with Jupiter moving into Aries. And I'll talk more about that when that comes up. But it's very important that we understand that Pisces dissolves what it touches, right? And so if this is your dreams and what you want, yes, you're going to dream big and you'll have the ability to do all of them, but you're also going to have some kind of practical spirituality, which is your Taurus and North Node, right? These are your earth signs where they get you really grounded in this 3D world, in reality, and getting secure, right? Taurus wants security, longevity of security. So these are like your stocks, your investments, and really understanding that financial literacy is not about money. It is about your security, your long-term security, right? And so how can we change our mind around how we think about money, right? Because let's just say, for an example, that the world really did end tomorrow. How many of us financially would be secure to be able to still live our dream? Just like when you ask yourself that question, just like sit with that for like 5 minutes and really, really think. Would that make you change your values and what you spend your money towards? Would you start actually saving now? Like, I just don't think that we take this conversation seriously, because it's so much stigmatized around, money isn't everything, and it's not really important, and we are in danger of being literally at the bottom of the totem pole, having this mindset and ideology. Like, if things were to end tomorrow, we're not prepared, because this freaking society has done a really good job at convincing us of these, back to the masculine energy, right? A masculine, high vibrational masculine energy is going to make sure that they do what it takes to protect their family for the long term. Just point blank, period. However that means, whether that's having a gun in the home, right? Whether that's making sure that they can fight for you, whether that's making sure that you have financial stability long term. It doesn't really matter. That's just their job. That's what they do. And even if they're not in a position to do that, it's not to say that they're not high vibrational. This country has done a magnificent job of, again, putting us in situations where we really think that we don't have to deal with those types of things. And so we're going to have to take the control of ourselves, right? Make sure you're finding somebody that you trust that's speaking about financial literacy on a consistent basis in your brain. And I want you to watch that just like you watch all your ratchet ass fucking television shows and listen to your ratchet ass music. Start treating that as if it is your Bible, whatever that is to you, and respect it and start implementing those things. Because I'm going to tell you right now, we're in a place, I think they said, the end of 2023, it's just not looking good for us. I mean, it's good overall. We need this to happen so that people can kind of snap out of it. And then, whenever you do something like that, that brings in change. Now you're going to have a whole different perspective on something. But at the same time, you want to be proactive, not reactive, right? We shouldn't have to be in a position where we're at a place where it's necessary that we evolve. But in order to do that, it needs to be destructive. It should not be that way. But that's what Taurus wants to teach us, right? Living on the low spectrum of materialism, meaning buy what you need and not what you want, and understanding how to budget through that and how your budget can help you with that, and what it actually means to budget. And y'all know I get real itchy about this conversation, because I think right now what we're going to find is the difference between being spiritual and manifesting something because of your ego, and being practical and manifesting something spiritually because you love it, because it's coming from your heart, because you understand the assignment. You understand what I'm saying? We're doing things sometimes and then wondering why our goals and dreams aren't coming true. Because for one, we want them like this, right? That's why people want to manifest and do things. And it's like, but okay, fine. And Spirit's going to say, and you can have that because you manifested it, right? But are you living your life in such a way that's going to be able to maintain that goal? Well, now, no, because we are so demasculated. We are so feminized that we only think of creating, but we're not taking into account the practicality of that creation. Right? They go hand in hand. You can't be even as a female, you have feminine energy, masculine energy in you, and vice versa. Even as a masculine, you have feminine energy in you. And so then we have to balance that, right? And so we do have the Libra full moon coming up. I'll be talking more about that during that time. But before I go on a whole tangent, because y'all already know I'm about to go off, okay? You got to get grounded in that stuff. So this is your dreamlike state, connecting with your life after death. These themes could be coming up here. Solving problems and healing. And then you have your addictions can expand, as well as you can recover. I think I talked about that too, especially with the Scorpio being in the South Node. People have amazing abilities to really end some fucking crazy cycles you've been going through if you tap in. And then travel. I mentioned that can open and expand your options around retreats, also around education. I don't really know what's going on with that right now, but I'm pretty sure they'll open it. And I'm hoping and praying with Jupiter moving into Aries that it's all going to be back to home stuff, because Aries is all about the self, right? So this is learning your education through a screen by yourself. Anything that you could do by yourself is an Aries ruled type thing. And so fingers crossed. I'm just saying, I just don't want to go. I don't want school to be a thing anymore. But that's just a wish of mine. Even if it does happen, though, family, by the way, we still got time before it's official. So, Dream on, Keish. But uncertainty and confusion, unfortunately, can grow, but so can clarity at this time. So surrendering again to a higher force. I talked about that. Writing projects, publishing and blogs, great projects for right now. Art and creativity, especially if you're using some kind of psychology or therapy. And escapism, I think virtual reality is going to grow. It's going to grow. It's going to grow. This would be the transit that virtual reality becomes a thing. In fact, I think I just seen the first commercial. Who is it? I think it's Apple who's got the goggle thingies. Daydreaming, trying to figure out what's real, what isn't. I feel like that's always going to be a thing. Hopefully, we get to a point where we understand how to move between both. That is the real mission here, by the way, family. Your inner work and counseling, great things to do right now. And then the really beautiful thing about this transit is that it will sextile the North Node and trine the South Node, which again is healing karma and patterns and activating your highest expression, forgiveness, and acceptance of human nature. That's a big one too, because we're not even supposed to be judging people. Like that needs to be like an ending, and that Jupiter in Pisces is not. It's not about it. It's not about that life. And so just remembering like gossiping and things of that nature, not cool. Like it's not cool, family. And again, it's a two-way thing, because it's like, but and you talk about things to assess, to understand, to negotiate, to what I mean. So then we even got to get to a level where we understand, well, what is that, and how do we do that? How can we do that from a higher perspective and not a lower perspective, which is where philosophy comes in, by the way. Your beliefs, your views, your morality, right? These things definitely come up with this transit, right? Healing, grief, this is definitely the 7 stages of grief. I did mention that we could be experiencing a lot of deaths over these next 18 months with the Scorpio South Node. And so we really need to step into our power to build new earth, right? And turn things to the simple life, like I was saying, because that's what Taurus really wants, right? Not focusing so much on materialism, because it isn't real anyway. So I'm pretty damn sure I talk my whole mouth off as usual. This is what I do, family. I talk. And so I always, family, I love and appreciate you. I hope you found this information helpful. Peace.